So I didn't get a lot of footage of this. I got some at the start, but I thought it was going to go worse than it did, so I didn't want to get video of me crashing out. I have a screwdriver over there. Can you get it for me? The little one? Sure. Thanks, bud. When you squeeze this, there's a little space right here. So you got to use that to get it out. You're supposed to let it go when it comes up, but I didn't do that. So you do that. See? Now it's out. Now you just got to pull it out, and then you're good to go. As long as it doesn't, yeah, see? Just like that. Is the hammer down there on the ground, buddy? Can you see it? No. You got to get up and turn around. I know it's there. Oh, yeah. Can you get it for me? Yeah. I was taking the yokes off of the rear drive shaft. This is off of an old one. It's really, really bad. I'll actually have to take a close-up video of that. That's real bad. Anyways, that's off of my current drive shaft. It's nice and tight. There wasn't any play, but I'm changing the U-joint from, oh goodness, from the drive shaft to the rear axle. So I figured while I'm here, I might as well just go ahead and do that. Yeah, so what we have here, this is my original drive shaft that I changed out about 2-3 years ago. You could see, woo, a little tight. There's a big difference between the one that I got and the one that I had. This is the slip yoke that I have that goes into the transfer case. This goes from this drive shaft to the transfer case. It meets up here at this U-joint. So they have these little retainer clips. That's not a good example of them, but they seat in here. These go in here. You just squeeze them with some pliers, take them out. Should be a relatively easy process. This one did give me a little bit of trouble. So what I did was I found a socket, which happens to be a 22, that fits perfectly in here, like barely any play at all. I mean, it can turn side to side, but as far as like that goes, you're wiggling the whole drive shaft when you do that. Right, so that goes in there. Okay, so these are already recessed to start off with. There's a little line right here where the clips go. So what you do is you get that in. Make sure the clips are removed on both sides. Ask me how I know. May have done that once or twice. So you set that in there. You just whack, whack. Well, not with that. But started out with a hammer. They got this bad boy. Whack, whack. So use some penetrating oil. Put that in there. Let it set overnight. That's what I did. I don't even know where it is. Anyways, use that. Let it set in there. Made sure those clips are out. And then bang, bang, bang. Sometimes you got to go back and forth. You got to flip it over. And get it going again. So I already removed the U-joints from the other side. Those were really easy. This is what it looks like without the caps. You can tell that this part right here, that was bad. So when you'd shift into drive or reverse, it wouldn't hold where it was supposed to, so you get a noticeable clunk every time you shift through the gears. So I knew that was bad. Very bad for a little while. Sometimes you don't hear it till it's like, once you hear it, it's usually time to go. So got that. This is actually the cap that was on there at the time. I broke a little bit off of this pot right here, but this spot that was already wide open. There are these little dust shields that go on there. The one that was on this one was completely just absolutely wrecked. So there was Absolutely no point trying to save anything like that. That was, I don't even know like what happened to that to get it in that far advanced. So anyways, here's that actual boot still on there. I just realized that. So it's tore up, but you can see that it does meet up pretty nicely with that broken spot right there. So that's torn. There's that broken spot. So this is the one that was on my old one. At some point, the Zerk fitting came out of it. No grease, no bueno, you know. So there's little needle bearings that go in here between this spot and the cap. You need to keep that lubricated. Let me see if I can get a good shot. Yeah, there's one. This is one that just came off. So if you look in there, get those little needle roller bearings. They have to be greased. You can't get any dirt or debris in there. Otherwise, you're going to fail, and that's not going to move, and that's just going to create a lot of friction. And then you end up with what I had. So this one was actually bad enough to the point. This is the original one. So this one I changed out a couple years ago. Obviously, it's got a lot of rust on it now, but it was clean. But what happened is it failed, and it actually kicked out here and destroyed this part of the yoke. There's no point in reusing this yoke now. There's no structural stability whatsoever. That whole ear is just absolutely wrecked. So along with that, what happened was this piece right here, which the cap, I couldn't even tell you where it is, but was buried into the actual drive shaft. It had rotated enough and created enough space there that it bashed into that. Not a great situation. I'm honestly really happy I caught that when I did. So moral of the story is that this isn't stuff that people just happen to teach you about in school. You might have to learn it the hard way along the way. Some people are fortunate enough to have stuff break and be able to drop it off to a shop. Nothing wrong with that. I worked for plenty of shops over the years. It's just frustrating because there are a lot of wearable items on your vehicles that you don't see, you don't interact with. Obviously, I knew it was there. I knew that there was a problem. That's on me. Sometimes it's a money issue. Sometimes it's a time and a weather issue. A lot of these things, unfortunately for me, have happened during the winter. Like we had a wheel bearing go, not last year, but the year before, during one of the coldest parts of the February winter that we had. And it was so dang cold. Me and my buddy were just hunched over the wheel while we had a bunch of heaters around us. It still wasn't really helping. So, you know, weather, time, money, not knowing, they're all factors. So don't feel bad if something like that happens and you don't catch it. You know, even if you go in for regular maintenance, your techs aren't always going to catch everything all the time. So you can't really blame them for it. So we're pretty close to getting this all done. I ended up deciding to do way more work on it than I had originally intentioned, because I was originally doing the fuel pump, which is a whole nother story because I never made a video about that. The brand new fuel pump that I got sent was bad. The electronic part of it didn't ever kick on. I ended up switching it out with the old one to see if maybe a wire got crimped or cut along the way. That wasn't the issue. The old one kicked on perfectly fine, sprayed me with fuel. Knew it was working, so I ordered, well, was talking back and forth with the company, and they sent me a new one. It was supposed to be here yesterday. It didn't show up. I checked the tracking, and it was still in Dallas. So I don't really know what's going on. I don't know if I'm going to do that. But anyways, I have to now that I have the drive shaft out, that was the first part, because I'm taking out my front axle and replacing it with my other one that I have. So I'm going to go ahead and get that done. I'm going to do my oil pan gasket. I think that's it for the truck. That should be it. Just to get the oil pan gasket, you have to drop the axle anyway. So I figured, what a great time. Might as well change out the front axle. So I just got to get into that. Now that I have the U-joints and yoke out and all that, I can just easily swap over the U-joints. That is a couple minute project, not anything crazy. So I'm going to get the front diff in. Well, change the oil pan gasket first. That's the whole point, because it's leaking oil. Then we'll go over the truck. Then we move on to the Subaru, or I'm going to move on to the Subaru first, depending on if I get the engine hoist today like I'm supposed to. Fingers crossed.